Welcome back. Northern Nomadic Disabled Organization is known for their signature event that normally happens in Isiolo, dubbed the Desert Wheel Race. This has been taking place for almost a decade now. However, due to the COVID-19 restrictive measures, the event was marked in a different way altogether. Take a look at that story.
Over the years, Northern Nomadic Disabled Organization NONDO has been organizing events to create awareness on education, health and socio-economic activities.
We're just marking our 10th year since we have started advocacy in pastoral communities of Kenya. And our thematic areas are education. We believe education is the fighting chance for any child with disability. If we give them education, they become lawyers, they become engineers, they become journalists. But if we deny them those opportunities, they will resort to their disability to go to the street and perhaps maybe using that as, let me say, quote-unquote qualification to woo sympathy, to make a living. And then, of course, governance. We believe disabled people must be included in all governance system in this country. If someone is allowed to, in a position where people make a decision, they can always contribute to the decision that affected their life instead of others really thinking for them. And then, of course, the issue of health. We strongly believe that health and disability intertwines. But among pastoral communities, if you have a disability already, your conditions are vulnerable. It's complicated, and you are vulnerable to many more other opportunistic, maybe, diseases and ailments.
The events include conferences, fashion show and sports, which has been dubbed the Desert Wheel Race and is normally the climax.
As an organization, we organize events, inclusive sports, to change narrative around disability, to bring people together, to talk about issues of disability, and we call it the Desert Wheel Race. The Desert Wheel Race started in Cielo in 2012 in Cielo. And over the years, it has grown both in popularity and participation, becoming not only a major disability sport in this country, but perhaps in Africa. And we've particularly chosen Cielo to be the home of this event because one of the board members of Nondou, who is a wheelchair user, became disabled, through clan conflicts in a village not so far away from Cielo town. 8 members of his family were killed, homes were torched, and they left him when he was only 12 years old with a spear in his back. So when the thinking of Nondou came up, and we felt the best way to bring communities together is through sport, we say, how can we now use this sport as a way of bringing communities together and to mainstream disability in all peace initiatives?
This year, things were done differently due to the COVID-19 pandemic. The conference was done virtually via Zoom with key stakeholders as panelists, while the fashion show, which was to be the 4th edition, didn't happen.
I think media plays a very important role in influencing public perceptions when it comes to disability. So the choice of words, the images, and even the message we send out there plays a very important role in mainstreaming disability and even changing perceptions and attitudes of people towards persons living with disability. So for some research have gone on that say, like some researcher who is called Paul Hunt has said, media represent persons with disability as evil people, object of curiosity, pitiable, super creep, person to laugh at, a burden, and even people who are unable to participate in day-to-day activities. So, and people with disability represent a bigger population in our society. But why are they that they are not portrayed in the media the way they are supposed, the other able-bodied person are presented in the society? So, and in Kenya, we have so many legal frameworks that tells us media is supposed to promote these issues on disability, the enjoyment of programs by persons with disability, be it deaf and blind, like providing sign language interpretation for the deaf. And also in children programming, we should also have children programming which can encourage children to develop their physical, mental, and even their social potential.
Most of us have relegated education for our children because we have to prioritize. Most of our children also require medication to sustain them. With the financial effects of the pandemic, you find we cannot afford it. And as Lydia mentioned, this is one of the campaigns we've been doing as Andy Speaks, looking for intervention and government support for subsidization of this medication, because we have some that have moved from something like 600 to 3,500. If people are struggling to put food on the table, how are we expecting them to actually also provide for medication? So we are losing lives. We are focusing on other things, but then our children are actually dying out there.
Fashion show this year would have been the fourth, edition of it. We felt why we came up with this idea was we felt in pastoral communities women are marginalized, even those women, with no disability. But a woman with disability is double marginalized than a man with disability in pastoral communities. Because if men, you have wealth, you have animals, you have cows, you have sheep, your disability is hidden. Because their traditional role is to put food on the table. But for a woman, the traditional role is to milk a cow, is to build a traditional hut, is to bring up children. So even when she is wealthy, in the eyes of, men, she cannot still do those basic things. So we felt this fashion show should be a way of bringing those women together to speak out, to bring out, beauty and disability and cultures, and how it interacts, because they come from different cultures and things like that. And to tell unique stories of how disability interacts with a different gender.
The highlight of this year was a 17-year-old artist.
My name is Mariam Salad. I'm 17-year-old. I do arts. I study. I'm in Form 3 right now. Actually, since I was small, I actually used to love drawing. Just like that, I used to love. I've never been taught. It just came just like that. Actually, the stuff that you need, like the colors, the frames, and the glasses, they're hard to find actually. That's the challenges I'm facing right now. But amazing, giving them the picture. I haven't sold a lot of pictures before, so this was a pleasure to sell. Yeah. I actually want to continue my career as an artist. I love to draw. That's what I want for my future, to draw.
The Desert Wheel Race event also didn't have pomp and color as in the previous years. The event was marked at Almasi Children Village, which is also historic to Nondou.
Na tumeanza hii mambo ya the Desert Wheel Race hapa Almasi mwaka 9 iliyopita. Bwana County Secretary and Senator Halake 2012 wakati tumeanzisha Desert Wheel Race. Abduwako and John Mudhe wako hapa. Tulianzisha hapa na tulienda mpaka stadium. Na maanzilishi ya hii Desert Wheel Race wakati ni kujumuisha walemavu kwa ile harakati ya kutafuta amani kwa jamii ya wafugaji. Board member moja ya Nondo mwaka 1972, hii ile inaitwa Kom, jamii ambayo wanazozana, walivamia zake wakaua watu 8 na yeye wakapiga mkuki hapa, spinal cord injury. So zaidi maka 40 alikuwa mlemavu. So the first thinking of the Desert Wheel Race was how to mainstream disability in peace initiative. Watu wa magazeti, wanasiasa, mara mingi vitu kama hiyo ikitendeka, tunaelezwa tu wangapi wamekufa, wangapi wamekuwa refugees ama internally displaced, but no one tells us how many people become disabled, and those who are already disabled, to what extent they are disproportionately affected. So tulianzia hapa na tulipanda miti ingine huko juu kucommemorate Desert Wheel Race every year.
The county government of Isiolo has always been supportive in this cause, and several county heads attended.
Niongele tu mambo mawili. Kuna maneno CEO alisema ya kwamba wakati walifanya hiyo race the other time, governors were on the chair, on the wheelchair, so that at least they compete. And that's a good experience. what Governor Alirova said, he was there for 20 minutes and it was too hard for him. Suppose somebody has been there on that chair for the time long. That is one. Number two, kuna proverb ingine ya Kisomali inasema, so long as you are alive and you have all your senses, be prepared to lose one. In Tadnoshai, meaning that one is not anticipating or it's not pessimist. It means that there is no condition which is permanent. Anybody can join the club, anybody can happen. So we must see how this thing is going, how the world is going.
These people require special intervention during this COVID time. As a county government, what so far we have done is that, one, kwanza kabisa ile mikakati tumeweka in place ni ya kwamba kuna program ya climate smart. Hiyo program ya climate smart iko na 60 million Kenya shilling. Na hiyo tuna target watu ya disability, watu ambao wako na disabilities, youth and women. And checks are ready. Na hiyo ni kuwasaidia hawa kuweza kufanya biashara na kujikinga na hali ya uchumi ambayo inaendelea kuzoroteka. Ya pili, tuliweza kupitisha sheria katika assembly yetu, na saa hii ni Act, Youth, Women and People with Disability Act, whereby we have set 18 million Kenya shilling. And we formed a board. And that board, people with disability is fully represented. I think Medize is a board member. Now, people with disability watapata pesa as individuals and also as a group. And we have 18 million for that purpose.
The chief guest was nominated Senator Halake, whose call was for more of action than mere talk.
The county assemblies need to start looking at policies and legislation that is really responsive to people with disabilities. They also need to scrutinize the budgets to make sure that those budgets are disability responsive and that they are not just, you can't have a budget they're passing that doesn't have enough provisions for vulnerable members, and especially the people and learners with disabilities. So I can't say there's enough but it's the same across the country, really. It's the same across the country.
The CEO hopes to develop this event as a unique sport that can be included in the sports calendar in the country.
Our vision for this race is to develop it as another major competitive sport in this country, just like Standard Chartered Marathon and Lewa Marathon, as the unique sport in this country that people can visit from all over the world to participate. And our dream is to develop Disability Sporting Academy in Kenya. And if we succeed in that, and we are already on the road, it will be the first one in Sub-Saharan Africa.